All right, hello everybody. We've made it to our last project here. So I decided to continue with my previous module 5 unit design to create this final project. So I obviously enhanced it a little bit, but for my Spanish 1 students, they're doing an autobiography project. So let me tell you more about that. So what they're doing is I have my students for 12 weeks at a time, once a year over middle school, so 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. These students will be creating an autobiography project, talking obviously about themselves in Spanish, using the information that they learned in class over the past 12 weeks. That 12 weeks was broken into smaller units, beginning with being able to do greetings, introducing themselves, saying what their name is, asking how people are, moving forward into other information that can be easily transferable into this project. It's just a really nice culmination of the information that they've learned over the past 12 weeks, and it's just nice to wrap it up kind of in a bow. And I am using this as a portfolio project for my students to hold on to see their progress over the next 2 years. So, who are my learners? I kind of mentioned already a little bit. They're in 6th grade, so they're 11 to 12 years old, depending on what trimester. For most students, Spanish is new to them. However, because this is their first formal exposure, at least at their school, some students may have already took Spanish classes either outside of school, or if they came to a new, they're new to my school, they may have had Spanish at an elementary level. There's also some native speakers at my school. It is a small amount, so we really we're at 90.7% of our students are white and 5.1 are Hispanic. Of course, not everyone who's Hispanic may know Spanish, but generally. So I usually only have a handful of kids that do speak Spanish. Our school is pretty small, 355 students total in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, so a third of that is the 6th graders. So for those kids that may have had previous exposure or they speak Spanish at home, it comes a little bit easier to them. But then there's also some students that may require extra support with the language that are eligible for IEPs or whatever. So they're getting the support that they need as well. So my standards for foreign language, we have ACTFL, the national standards, or we have ISB for Illinois standards. They're pretty general here, and they are on the lower scale. These are novice learners for me. It's obviously their first exposure, so they're not really doing too much yet. So they can present information. They're letting us know about a variety of topics. So they're going to talk about themselves. They're going to talk about, I also included things like they're going to say in the autobiography about what's the weather like during this season that we're in right now, or during your birthday season. So variety of topics, again, using the information that they've already learned over the past 12 weeks. As far as ISB goes, they are copying, writing words, phrases, and simple sentences. That's all that they're able to do right now. When they're working on the project, they're going to be able to use their resources to write those things down. And then the last standard, 28B, 1B, they are also going to be speaking in the target language, in this case Spanish, and saying some of that information in their project, which I'll talk about the technology soon. So the standards that I created for myself, students will be able to create an autobiography project in Spanish with information they have learned throughout the trimester in electronic presentation. The accuracy, 100% hopefully, and then students will be able to demonstrate their Spanish language skills by recording themselves. That's the real importance of the portfolio, is to hold on to their speaking element and hopefully compare those over the next 2 years. So, as far as theories that go into play with this project, we have the cognitive flexibility theory. What stuck out to me is learners must be given an opportunity to develop their own representations of information in order to properly learn. So the students are taking this information that they've learned, they're putting their own spin on it, and instead of just taking it at face value, oh, this is how I introduced myself, or this is how I talk about the weather, they're taking it a step further to talk about how it relates to their personal situation and how it may be different for them. Secondary is the dual coding theory, that it's just saying that remembering information is helped by having both visual and verbal representations of the information side by side. As we're going to see with this project, they not only need to write down the information, but they're also going to have pictures to support it as well. So when you look at the project, if you don't know Spanish, you'll probably be able to pick out some things from that. All right, and then my favorite part, what technology is going to be used in this project. It's an autobiography project. I'm sure you may have done one of these in school. You could have easily done it with paper, make a little book or something, but we're focused on the technology here, and it's one of my passions as well. So as far as the route that we're going to go to do this project and to fulfill the objectives and everything, my main technology I'm going to be using is My Story. I have a link, so if you want to open that up to the website. It is an application for the iPad or iPhone. It's really great. It has a lot of different features that we're going to talk about. It's really user-friendly. It's great for younger kids. It's pretty much like a slideshow, kind of. You can add text, pictures. You can take pictures within the application. It's almost like a paint feature that you can use, where you can have a pencil or a drawing with your finger. Of course, the writing doesn't always come out 100% well with that. But the main feature that I like in this, with one of my objectives, is being able to record yourself. So a lot of, obviously I'm doing it right now with Keynote, but a lot of presentation types don't easily allow you to record, and that's what's nice about My Story versus other things like we could have done Prezi or S'more or something like that, or Google Presentation. Secondary is going to be Google Docs. Everything is going to be electronic for the most part, aside from the handouts that they receive. They're going to be completing an outline using Google Docs. They're going to be adding pictures using Google Docs, either dragging pictures in or using the research tool, as well as the Google Drive. Everything is going to be in the Google universe here. They also may be using social media sites to gather pictures that they have, if applicable. If they don't have them, they don't have to use that. But I do allow the students to go on Facebook or Instagram to receive gather their pictures that they may not have, because a lot of kids these days don't have files saved on their computers with pictures, or have it in like a site like PhotoBucket or something. So a lot of times their pictures are posted or they're on their phones. So to access them, they can do that. We're also going to be using the photo or camera roll tool later, I'll explain, to edit pictures and take screenshots on the iPads as well. Mostly we have Chromebooks as well as iPads, primarily for the My Story part of the project. Okay, it's day one. What happens? I present the project. I let the kids know what's happening. They're going to get a copy of the rubric. We'll go over that together, answer any questions, and then they start working on the outline. So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to show you what the rubric looks like, and then the outline is a very simple form. I could show them past examples as well of the project so they can kind of see what they're doing. So here's the handout that they received day one. This is the project. This is what you need to do. You're going to need to get pictures, short sentences about yourselves, printing yourselves in Spanish. They can be creative. They're not using online translators. I give them wordreference.com as a solution for that. There's no minimum length, maximum length. And the bullet points we have, okay, choose your title, your name, grade, and period. Everything else after that will be in Spanish. So there's not really a lot of space to write anything down. That's why I ended up creating an outline for them to fill out online to make sure that they have all of the information. For kids at this age, it's a lot easier to have them fill in the information and then move on to the My Story versus just doing it all at once. That extra step keeps it really organized and make sure they get all the information. And then on the back is my rubric. So it would be 50 points. They need to have their all the content, which would be what's in the bullet points. It needs to be accurate. They can use their vocabulary list. They can use their book. They can use references. It should be spelled correctly. Should have accents, yada yada. Does it have the number of pictures? Can I read it? That's where the organization and style portion comes from. It's either organized or it's not, as far as can I read it. And then the sources for pictures if they're not their own. A lot of kids kind of go around that and use I should really change it to, it does say images on there. They can use the stickers that are part of My Story, which we can talk about later. Okay, so they may or may not have started working on the outline. As I mentioned before, that information that's in the rubric, I took that, I put it in a Google Doc. I just kept the bullet points and I kind of organized it and I said, okay, this is the information you need to fill in, 3 pictures. So that's what the students are going to be doing. They're gathering information. They should be using their previous vocabulary list that they have or their book. This is information they've already learned before. Maybe they're a little rusty on the stuff from the beginning of the trimester. And to gather pictures, they should be using the Google Docs tools, the research tool. And I don't know if you guys have heard about this. This is like a lifesaver. If you're in a Google Doc, you go to Tools and then Research. It'll pull up a side pane, and you can search information about anything. You can also search images. It's really good just for general research. It'll come up with the links. You can cite it MLA, APA, Chicago style, whatever, and it comes in the footer at the bottom. It is a lifesaver. I wish I really had this when I was in high school or whatever, but I can definitely use it for these projects as well. For the images, unfortunately, it only carries, when you drag over an image that you like, it only, in the footer has a link, but it's still a little bit better than nothing, so they have to do a little bit of backtracking to find what those images. But using the research tool, they can be like, okay, I need a picture that represents my favorite color, search purple, Violetta or whatever, and then move it over. So they're still working on the research. These are younger kids. It's going to take them a little bit of time to compile all this stuff and type it up. Here's the outline that I talked about. So they're just filling it in. Some students choose to either erase the line or do after the semicolon and have the pictures. And you'll see there's the little numbers. Those are little footnotes that would have gone with the picture if I still have it in there. Day 3, they're still working on the project. They start putting in the information in the My Story application. So they have it done. They've either printed it out or they're looking at it on the Chromebook. That's what we have. And they're putting the information in. They're playing around. They're adding their slides. They're adding their texts. They're adding their pictures. And usually the last thing they're going to add is the recordings. So one thing that they do is they're adding their information and their pictures. They're going to open up the Google Docs app and take screenshots of their pictures. So when they're taking a screenshot, holding the power button and the circle button at the same time on the iPads, they're going to have to edit it because as you see here in my example here, you don't want the whole screen, you just want that selected portion. So they're going to have to do that to add the pictures into My Story so that they just have the parts that they want. So day 5 is going to be the last day. They should be finishing up, making sure they have all their information, checking it over with a rubric, and then usually they just do the recordings on the last day. They just have to say one piece of information per slide in Spanish, any last edits, and then they're going to submit it to a Google form, which you can click the link there to see in the screenshot. It's just going to be their name and submit their project. To submit with My Story, it's a little bit complicated, and the updated versions. So I would walk the students through how to do that. You click on your story. And then there's a little link button that you click. It'll either ask you to do some math or swipe a certain way, and then you can copy the URL into here, and that's how I can open it. And it works on a computer as well as within the application, so it's pretty cool. And our last day, all the projects should be submitted by now, but that doesn't always happen. And they get a chance to view each other's projects. So what I did is I took that Google form and posted a link. So posted a link on my website. I would have posted a link to the Google form to submit their project on my website as well. And they could open that up and see the results portion. So like the spreadsheet, and they'll see their classmates' names and a link to their project. This is a really easy way to see, hey, did your link work? By having the kids do it, because they'll definitely let you know. They can open up and look at other people's projects and see things that they like. And then I created this little autobiography contest using Google form again. Clearly I'm a fan. Where they say, oh, who had the most creative, the funniest, and they can win a little prize. And then also to make sure that they're not just doing nothing the whole time. Hey, what's something you learned about someone? And it should be about 3 individual people. And then at the end, we can have them do a little survey about the project to see what things we can improve. Here's an example. So what did all this look like? Here's their outline. They have the information, 3 pictures, yada, yada. And then if you click these 2 links, here's an example of what my story final product looks like. And it looks a little different on the iPads. So that's our project. What is this an example of? By doing the My Story, taking the project to a different level, like I said in the beginning, could have easily done this on paper, right? Could have just had them write it out and print out pictures or something. Well, by doing it as the modification, they're adding their own recording element that wouldn't have been possible before. It might be possible in things like Google Presentation or Prezi or S'more or whatever, but it is so easy to use for these young kids. There's just a little recording button. You record yourself. You can listen to it if you like it. You keep it. If you don't, then you do it again, and it's inputted in there really, really, really easily. So it really is taking it to another level than it was before. And so what is the evaluation? The whole project is an evaluation. And when they were going through the individual units, they had exit slips, quizzes, tests. This is to review all that information, make sure that they mastered it, and make sure that they know it. So the project is really the whole thing is the evaluation. And then, of course, we can have them take an end of the unit survey to improve for next year. How did you feel about the project? Some other questions, specific questions could be, what aspects did you like about this project? What things can be improved? So on and so forth. Maybe how they felt about my story. And gracias. So thanks for listening, guys, and it's been a pleasure.